I know how much anger can be built up inside because we're sick, we need help, and we go to these professionals who we entrust our health in, and they're telling us we're completely normal. We go there expecting help, and we just get thrown out the door, or we just get told we're crazy, or we just get told it's all in our head, or the doctors spend 2 minutes with us and say, hey, what's wrong? Okay, let me check your heart rate, you're fine. Yeah, nothing's wrong. So let me write this down. I'm gonna send you to this cardiologist halfway across the city. And yeah, you'll be lucky if you get an appointment in 3 months. How's it going, Thrivers? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm going to be talking about anger and resentment and how you need to let go of it in order to move forward and really heal and get started on your recovery journey, or at least pick up the momentum and make even more progress in your journey. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is on one of our calls in the Recovery Jumpstart program. Shout out to John. He actually brought this up and he said he was hitting some roadblocks in terms of resentment and anger towards CFS and towards just life in general, and that's very common. So it reminded me of all the anger and resentment I had towards the illness, towards the doctors, towards the medical system, and just how much that was holding me back. How much emotion I had built up inside, how much anger and rage, and how that was actually affecting me when I was trying to move forward in my recovery journey. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about my experience with it, what we've seen with other people, and how this can actually negatively affect your recovery. Not just your recovery, actually, just in life in general, talking about anger and resentment. So if we backtrack, I'm preaching to the choir here. If you're watching this video right now, then clearly you're looking for answers on trying to fix your hypersensitive nervous system. Maybe this is the first video you watch on my channel. Maybe you don't even realize it's a hypersensitive nervous system. But what you do know, what you're certain of, is there's something clearly wrong going on in your body. Something is not right. You're feeling mysterious symptoms, you're tired all the time, you're very symptomatic, and even worse, when you go to the hospitals and the doctors and specialists, they seem to look at you like nothing is wrong at all. And they kind of look at you like you're crazy. And I know how frustrating that can be. I know how much anger can be built up inside because, we're sick, we need help, and we go to these professionals who we entrust our health in, and they're telling us we're completely normal, right? We go there expecting help, and we just get thrown out the door, or we just get told we're crazy, or we just get told it's all in our head, or the doctors spend 2 minutes with us and say, hey, what's wrong? Okay, let me check your heart rate, you're fine. Yeah, nothing's wrong. So let me write this down. I'm going to send you to this cardiologist halfway across the city, and yeah, you'll be lucky if you get an appointment in 3 months, right? So time goes by, you go to an appointment, and then turns out the cardiologist says, well, we can't find anything wrong. Let's run a few more tests. It's going to take another couple months. They do the test, nothing's wrong, and then they say, hey, we're going to send you to a endocrinologist. So you wait a few more months, then everything is fine there, and the next thing you know, you're on this roller coaster of specialists. They're passing you around like a hot potato, and the more tests and scans and specialists you see, the more frustrated you get, because no one seems to understand the severity of your situation and no one seems to be taking you seriously, right? So that just paints a little bit of a picture of what's probably going on right now. And chances are you've taken matters into your own hands and said, what, screw it, I'm going to try to find a solution to this. And that's how you've ended up on this video right here on YouTube or wherever you're watching this from, right? So I understand how frustrating it can be. And I know what it's like crossing your fingers, wishing, hoping, praying that the next thing that this doctor tells you is going to be the end all be all to this whole illness. It's going to be the cure, the magic fix, right? You're crossing your fingers, hoping that this next medication they put you on is going to do the thing. But a lot of times, as I've seen with myself and so many other people tend to just get worse, right? Not just because of the frustration and the pent-up anger and rage. Sometimes the doctors actually recommend the wrong things. I've talked to so many people who have long COVID, and they go to these specialists and these clinics, these long COVID clinics, and the next thing you know, the doctors put them on an exercise bike or put them on an exercise routine when they're already struggling to even stand up. They're already dealing with pot symptoms just from the simplest of things, and next thing you know, the doctor's putting them on an exercise bike or has them doing lunges. And I've talked to way too many people to count who do that, put their trust in the doctors, and then they completely go backwards, right? And they end up crashing or relapsing. And then they're left with all this resentment. They almost feel betrayed of, these doctors were supposed to help me. I only feel 10 times worse, right? And I'm not saying all doctors are bad. I just want to preface this. Doctors are great. If I were to ever get into a car crash, if something were to ever happen to me or my family or people I care about, the doctors would be the first people I entrust all my health into, right? However, for something specific like these hypersensitive nervous system issues, in my experience, doctors don't really help. And I have seen over 25 different doctors and specialists, and it seems to be the same across the board. No matter what country you're from, no matter what your background is, I see people from all walks of life running into these same issues. Let's talk about how that translates into anger and resentment and how that can actually negatively affect your recovery. We know that this is a hypersensitive nervous system. As long as you have had all your tests ruled out, all your scans done, and they can't find anything that explains exactly what is causing this level of symptoms, then you can bet your bottom dollar that this is a hypersensitive nervous system. There is no other explanation. There is no other answer to this, right? And a hypersensitive nervous system is very fixable. However, one thing that does keep the nervous system in a hypersensitive state, in fight or flight mode or survival mode, is high emotions, especially negative emotions. Anger, sadness, fear, resentment, anticipation, all of these things that we can be carrying around with us because we are almost traumatized from our experience with people not understanding what we're going through, from friends not checking up on us as much as we would like them to, from, people not understanding our situation, from doctors. So all of these ongoing resentments and this kind of anger we have inside, it can keep our nervous systems wired. But the thing is, we can also have resentment towards ourselves or the illness, because we might be telling ourselves, why did you work so much? Why did you push your body so hard? If only you didn't do this, maybe you wouldn't have crashed. You should know better. And we tend to beat ourselves up, and we can be our own worst critic. That's what I've found is people who get these hypersensitive nervous system issues, every single one of them is a type A personality person. I've never met a single person who isn't type A, who wasn't at least an overthinker. And many of them are actually perfectionists. So as I'm saying these things, these might be ringing bells, like bells might be going off right now in your mind saying, yep, that's true. It's because these are patterns we see with every single person who has these hypersensitive nervous system issues, these mysterious symptoms. And it's really hard to make the link unless you see it from the perspective of somebody who has a YouTube channel and gets to interact with these people on a daily basis. So you may have anger and resentment towards yourself. You may have anger and resentment towards the illness and just towards life in general, right? You might be thinking, wow, all I wanted to do was, succeed in life, or all I wanted to do was be productive and get more stuff done. And why is life punishing me? Why is my body punishing me for wanting to get more out of life, right? I thought I was doing something good, right? Just like myself. I thought that setting high goals, wanting to be successful, wanting to make money so I could enjoy nice things and take care of my family, I thought those were good things. And I knew friends who were partying every weekend, who were doing drugs and all these crazy things. And here I was, focused on creating a better future for myself. And I'm the one who was here getting sick while everybody else was still partying. And so I developed this resentment towards a lot of things, especially life in general. I thought, this is not fair. And I had the victim mentality thinking. And little did I know, I didn't know it at the time, but now looking back, I can see how that really, really hindered the results I was getting because my nervous system was turned on. So when you get to a place of looking at this entire situation from a different perspective, we have to look at the things that we gained out of this, right? There's no point being a victim. And I'm not saying you're a victim, right? I don't even want to use that word victim. Let's call it, just in general, the resentment towards life. The only reason we have anger and resentment is because we only see the negative effects that the situation had. But I guarantee you, if you look deeply enough at your situation with your health and everything, you're going to see a lot of hidden gifts that came out of this experience, right? You're going to realize that, okay, well, let's say I didn't get sick. What would have happened? Where would this have led to long term? Well, I probably would have kept working so much. I probably would have kept overthinking a lot. I probably wouldn't have lived a sustainable life. I probably would have been always stressed out, right? And not all of these may apply for you, but some of these things will apply. And you have to look at the flip side of the coin. You have to be able to go in there with a fine-tooth comb and see the benefits of the situation. As crazy as that sounds, we need to flip it on its head and we need to look at what we gained out of this. What were the positives? Because if you look deep enough, I guarantee it, there are positives that came out of the situation. And you may not realize it when you're in the midst of it, but there will come a time where you will be grateful that you're going through what you're going through right now, because this is preparing you for anything down the road. Any stressors down the road is going to be nothing compared to what you're going through right now. I can honestly say that, just running CFS recovery, running a program with hundreds of people in it, managing team members, setting up new products and services, and doing all this crazy stuff behind the scenes, all of that is relatively easy compared to what I dealt with CFS. It's given me thick skin. I think most of all, it's made me appreciate life, right? It's made me appreciate the simplest things. Something as simple as being able to walk outside. I mean, that's why I was inspired to film this video outside in nature. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a beautiful sunset. It's really bright right now. Nice weather. You hear the birds chirping. And before, I would just, I would probably drive by an area like this and it would just be like, whatever, nice fields, okay, no big deal. But now I can appreciate it, because there was a time when I wished with every fiber of my being that I could be in a place like this. I could just feel the grass. I could just feel the wind on my face, look at the sky. There was a time when I had to wear a blindfold all day, right? For multiple days at a time, where now I can actually enjoy the nice weather. Right? So it's taught me gratitude, it's taught me patience. There were days where I literally could do nothing except meditate for 8 hours straight, because I couldn't even move, I couldn't even look at a phone. I had to find this place inside where it was just me and my own thoughts, no other outside stimulus. So you get very familiar with yourself, with your own mind, and most people in life, they won't get to experience that unless something very tragic happens, or when they're towards the end of their life, when they're on their deathbed. Then they have to think about all their life actions, right? But for everybody else, they don't get that time. They don't really have time to sit down or lie down for days or months or weeks at a time and really analyze, is this the life I want to live? And if I were to do it all over again, what would I want life to be like? How would I want things to be? What do I want to experience? So those are just some of the gifts that CFS gave me, right? And obviously you won't really feel that until you get to the other side of it or start making progress. But once you start looking at your situation, not from an anger or resentment perspective, but trying to really look at the benefits, look at the good things that have come out of this, it's gonna help with the acceptance. The moment you can accept your situation is the moment you will make tons and tons of progress, because it's gonna take the pressure off. You're gonna feel a lot lighter. You're gonna feel like your body isn't as heavy, right? And you're just gonna feel like a massive shift in the way you perceive things. Because right now it probably feels like you were the most unlucky person in the entire world. Like this thing came out of nowhere and just T-boned you. Life T-boned you when you were just following the rules and going upon your merry way. But you didn't realize that, yeah, sure, maybe life T-boned you. You got T-boned by a pickup truck. Had you kept on going, you would have been T-boned by a train, and that wouldn't have ended well. So sometimes the setback is a setup for your future. And when I look back now, all the things that I've been through throughout my recovery journey, all the times I had a setback, all the times I had a crash, all the lessons it taught me during those dark times, I was able to take that and apply it to life moving forward. And it gave me tools and it taught me lessons that I never ever would have learned. But you have to be wise enough to learn from these experiences. Instead of going throughout this journey with this anger and resentment and wishing things were a different way, start to look at it from a different perspective. What is this experience teaching you? And how are these things going to help you moving forward? I think the one thing I can say for everybody who's had all these crazy symptoms that are stopping them from living the life they want to live is it's going to make you appreciate every single thing once you start getting your life back. Just being able to go for dinner with your friends, not having to worry about how late you're staying out or what kind of foods you're eating so it doesn't flare you up, right? Little things like that, you're gonna be so grateful and so appreciative for. And that level of appreciation and gratitude is so worth going through those tough times. And I had this saying that I always told myself, the harder I hit rock bottom, the higher I'm gonna bounce. And it was hard to tell myself that when I was really rock bottom, but it turns out it was true. My theory was right all along. The harder you hit rock bottom, the higher you bounce, right? And you will bounce back. You're watching a video like this, which means you're doing everything you can to get better, right? And maybe you're watching this and you're a few months into your illness and this whole experience, maybe you're a few years into this, maybe you're a few decades, nonetheless, you're here, right now. And we're about 15 minutes in, you're watching this right now because you want to get better, right? That's all I need to know that tells me you're serious about your recovery, right? Because you're taking your own time to learn about this. So I would suggest dive deep into these videos on my channel, learn as much as you can about what I teach, and try to keep it as simple as possible. I really like to keep things simple on this YouTube channel. A lot of people are dealing with brain fog. It's hard to remember all of these concepts, but most importantly, it's harder to implement all of these things. Going back to my main topic, it's the anger and resentment. Just understand that in order to move forward and get you unstuck on your journey, you do need to deal with the anger and resentment. You do need to learn to accept what has happened, right? We can't go back in time and change what has happened. There are so many times where, I would look back and wish that I didn't do that. I wish I didn't do this. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that. Well, guess what? We don't have a time machine. We can't turn back time. But what we can do is control what happens right now. How do we respond to the situation right now? And getting to thriving health versus just surviving day to day and trying to just hold on for dear life every single day, that starts right here, right now. You always have a choice in how you respond to the situations and how you respond to symptoms. And I preach that on my channel. I have so many other videos on this YouTube channel. You can watch one of them up here. The best way to respond to symptoms. I think this is the #1 thing you should focus on right now. I put out all these videos to help you guys. And if there's something to focus on, that's what you should be focusing on. And once you understand the science, you realize there was nothing to be angry about in the first place. There was nothing to be resentful about, because there were benefits to this whole thing at the very same time you're experiencing all that guilt, all that resentment and anger. The only reason we have those emotions is because you were only looking at it from one perspective. It was one-sided. It was from a negative bias, which is common because when your nervous system is acting up, you will have a negative bias. You will start to look for things that will go wrong. In fact, you will only look for things that go wrong. Rarely do you look for things that could go right, especially when you're in a flare-up. So you want to learn to accept your situation, look at things for what they are, and really take the time, and you're going to have to think deeply about this. Think about the benefits that will come out of this once you get better. And once I realized that, it made it so much easier to go through the flare-ups and go through this whole journey of recovery. Now, if you did want some help, working through all of this, and if you did want an actual plan in place to help you implement a lot of this stuff, because this is really just scratching the surface. There's nothing really tangible that you absolutely should do this in this video. It's more so just sharing this perspective and sharing a different point of view from what you might have been thinking recently. If you are looking for extra help, we do have the Recovery Jumpstart program, and that's where we help individuals, and we come together in a small group setting as well as through a personalized plan we create for you, and we help you get back to thriving health. Depending on your symptoms, your activity levels, we look at your history, your roadblocks, all of these things, and we help you come up with a personalized plan. We have tons of people making so much progress, and it's just so cool to see people go from bedridden to vacationing again. People going from, being told they need brain surgery to get better, even though the doctors didn't know what was going on, to being in Disneyland, right? Not too far down the road after the doctor said they need surgery. So there are so many inspiring stories, and I would love to help you get on the right track if you are the right fit. Obviously, we can't help everybody. We have to make sure people don't have any other health issues going on. But if that's something you're looking for, if you're interested in that, click the link down below. You can learn more about the program and see if it's just a good fit, right? No obligations at all. Just check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. But in the meantime, just continue watching videos like this on my channel. Now, if you did enjoy watching this video, if you got some value out of it, hit the thumbs up button, comment down below what was your biggest takeaway from this video. And I'd like to ask you, do you have a lot of resentment and anger towards the illness or towards the medical system or towards life? And if you do, that's completely normal, but what's your experience with that and how are you gonna change that? So I want you to comment that down below. Let's get the community engaged here. What is something you have anger or resentment towards when it comes to CFS? And what are you gonna do differently moving forward? Let's look at the ideas down below. And always remember, you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.